Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my experience and my results with photos with using Xylitol for the past 9 months. I began using Xylitol in June of last year, and when I started using Xylitol, I had no intention of creating videos talking about my experience, my results, but after just 4 or 5 weeks, the results that I was seeing with using Xylitol were so good and honestly so unexpected that I felt like I had to make a video, share my results, and hopefully help others out there who were dealing with similar issues that I had been dealing with. There were really two reasons why I originally decided to start creating content about my oral health journey using xylitol. And that is number one, it works. And number two, despite xylitol's oral health care benefits being known about for decades and decades, I had never heard a word about xylitol until I happened to quite accidentally stumble upon some videos by Dr. Ellie Phillips, who is a functional dentist. And on her channel, she has many videos and she talks in depth about the oral health care benefits of xylitol. I have had a long standing history of oral health issues, both with my gums and with my teeth. I've had teeth transparency and I've had gum recession for the past 20 years that just continued to worsen. So when I found Dr. Ellie, who is a seasoned functional dentist, and started watching some of her content about xylitol and her complete mouth care system, I was kind of hooked and knew that in some shape or form, I had to start utilizing these techniques to at least try it, to at least say that I'd, given it a try. Because for 20 years, I've been told that there was nothing that I could do to help especially my gum recession. So when I found Dr. Ellie and she was discussing the possibility of reversing the gum recession, despite having been told that there was no hope for 20 years, I took a leap of faith and I'm so glad I did. Now, full disclosure, as always, my family and I, we do not follow Dr. Ellie's complete mouth care system in its entirety, but we do follow many of her recommendations with great success. Specifically, we do not use the mouthwash or rinses portion of her program. And this is just personal reasons, many of which have to do with the financial impact of using all the rinses. When you have 3 people on the system and you are using 3 different rinses twice a day, the cost impact, especially when I was first starting the program, and like I said, I was taking a leap of faith. I just opted to not follow that portion of the program. And here I am 9 months later, and we've had great success even without that part of the program. That said, I've met so many people in the past 9 to 10 months who have had great success using Dr. Ellie's complete mouth care system and highly recommend it. And on the other hand, I've met many people like myself who use parts of the program. And then I've met some people who have just used xylitol for years in some cases with, again, great success. So this would be a good time for me, like I do in many of my videos, to remind you that these are just my experiences and my opinions from a non-dental professional perspective. And I always encourage everyone to do your own research, form your own opinions, and pick the programs and the products that work best for you and your lifestyle. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. These are the first photos that I ever shared on the channel to document my oral health journey and my results. This was about 4 to 5 weeks in, and at this point, I was just using xylitol. I was using the Weldental Mints, and each of these mints has a half a gram, and I was taking probably 3 to 4 grams a day at this point. For some of us, xylitol does take some getting used to, can cause some tummy trouble, and I was having just whenever I tried to push past that 3 or 4 gram mark, I was having just a little more indigestion and gassiness that I liked. So at this point, I was just taking 3 to 4 grams of xylitol a day. I was taking this after meals and at bedtime and sometimes in the morning. I had also switched my toothpaste to the Crest cavity protection that Dr. Ellie recommends. So these are really the only two products that I was using at the time that I posted these videos, or that I posted this video and shared these photos. And I was also practicing mouth resting, which is a Dr. Ellie suggestion. So this is where you have your drink and your meal, you have what you need, take your xylitol, let that saliva be stimulated, let those strep mutans start, eating the xylitol to start starving them off. And that then after you eat or drink and take your xylitol, you don't consume anything for at least an hour. Now, so this gives your mouth, your teeth, and your gums time to interact with that good healing saliva that has been stimulated by taking the xylitol. So something else that I did basically from day one is that I took a step back from regular flossing. Dr. Ellie does talk about this in many of her videos, how if you have a diseased mouth, gum disease like I did, that regular flossing can actually cause more trauma to this already irritated and sensitive tissue. So I know that that can be a little bit controversial, but I did go ahead and follow her advice, took a step back from regular flossing. I do still floss if I have something legitimately stuck. I just don't use it as a daily measure. And I will say that on the times, really out of curiosity, that I have flossed a few times over these past 9 months, the floss comes out virtually clean. It's not covered in gunk or anything. So I just did want to share that that was something else that I did incorporate into my routine. As I normally do in these videos, I apologize for the first photo. When I took this photo, I had no clue that I would be so impressed with my results that I would want to share with others. So this photo was taken at night, hence the bad lighting, and it was taken at an angle that was originally meant for my eyes only. So that is why the angle, it's just not great. But I think it's important to share this first photo because it was taken on the day that I started using the xylitol mints. So I do share this photo, even though it comes under scrutiny. This isn't meant to dupe anybody. It's just, it was never originally intended to be shared. I can't go back in time. I can't retake the photo. So here we are. I'm sharing it, and then I'm sharing my progress photos that came afterwards. So by the bottom photo, we're at 4 to 5 weeks in, and at this point, I was already having real difference in my tooth sensitivity. My tooth sensitivity was basically gone. My tooth transparency was starting to improve, and my gums were so much more comfortable and less inflamed. And we're talking 4 to 5 weeks here. And I wasn't even taking the recommended 6 to 10 grams of xylitol that Dr. Ellie and most other studies and experts recommend. So I wasn't even taking the quote unquote therapeutic level. But I was taking xylitol, I was mouth resting, and I had switched over my toothpaste. And you can already see there is a good difference. I had a really pretty bad um, gum pocket on my left bottom incisor. And I had had that gum pocket for years and it had gotten progressively worse. It's kind of gross, but I'm trying to be transparent. That pocket was so large and so detached from the tooth surface that it would collect food daily, and I would have to kind of milk that food out because it would obviously be very painful. And at this point, again, only 4 to 5 weeks in, that pocket, that gum was tight to the tooth surface. It was no longer collecting food. It was no longer painful. And the irritation and the inflammation had already started to dissipate. So it was much less red and beefy, which was just for me truly amazing. And when that pocket tightened up and reattached to the tooth surface, because the gum in between my bottom incisors, it was flapping. It was not attached either. So when these gum areas started to reattach, that's when I knew that I really had found something that truly worked. And that's when I knew that I wanted to start sharing my experience. Next, we are going to move into the 12-week photos. So at this point, I was up to 6 or 7 grams of xylitol a day. So I was in that Goldilocks zone that Dr. Ellie recommends, the 6 to 10 grams per day. And I did this by incorporating xylitol granules. So right now I'm using the Birch Xylitol by HealthGarden. I've also used the NOWFoods brand, which is a corn-based xylitol, and I've had great results with both. And I incorporated the granular xylitol because, as I had mentioned, taking too many of the mints was causing me some stomach trouble. So when I incorporated the granules, I was able to get to the preferred and the recommended dosage of xylitol. And I started taking this in the morning upon waking, after every meal and snack, so 3 to 4 times a day, and with meals and snacks, and then also at bedtime. So I typically was taking my xylitol 5 or 6 times a day, and then again practicing the mouth resting and using the Crest cavity protection. So by this 12-week point, something else that I was doing regularly is that I was incorporating gum massage into my daily routine. So every time I brush my teeth, I also do gum massage. And I really feel like that was something that really boosted my oral health and really fueled the progress that I was seeing. I had started doing gum massage right on the tail end of those first photos, that around the 4 to 5 week, I had started incorporating gum massage. But by this 12-week photo, I really feel like I can see the difference that the gum massage was adding to my results. So I will link a video that I made below that talks about how I interpret and incorporate gum massage into my daily routine in case you want to see it. But in talking about these 12-week photos, the 12-week is on the bottom. We have my original photo on the top, 5 weeks in the middle, 12 weeks on the bottom. And by this point, I was shocked that I was seeing a return of healthy pink gum tissue between my teeth, where I had had black triangles pretty much between every bottom tooth from one canine to the other canine. So I was really shocked to see that. Also, that central incisor that had the huge pocket on it before, it continued to be tight to the tooth. The inflammation and irritation was continuing to dissipate, and my gums and my teeth just felt so much healthier. And as for that really bad central incisor where the gum was so far down, it was actually, to my shock again, starting to trend a bit upward. So moving right along, we come to the 6-month progress photos. And the big change during this time period between the 12-week, 3-month photos and the 6-month progress photos is that I started incorporating a flossing toothbrush in the middle there, probably around the 4.5-month mark. And I use the Nanda. This is the first flossing toothbrush that I started using. I did use the Dr. Plotka for about 6 weeks. And I ended up going back to the Nanda. I've heard great things about Dr. Plotka. It is a great toothbrush for cleaning effectiveness, but for me, I just found that I preferred the Nanda. And I did make a video that details the difference between the Dr. Plotka and the Nanda. I'll link that down below in case you want to check that out to see what my and my husband's thoughts were on these flossing toothbrushes. 6 months was a huge milestone for me in terms of my progress. My tooth transparency was still great. My tooth sensitivity was completely gone, and my gums just felt completely transformed. I could not get over how much difference, how much progress I was able to make in just 6 months after, as I mentioned earlier, 2 decades of feeling like no matter what I did, I just couldn't turn things around or even really uh, keep the negative things from progressing. My gum recession just had kept getting worse and worse. So after 6 months to have such a turnaround, just truly amazing. I had pink, firm, healthy looking and healthy feeling gums for the first time in as long as I can remember, because this gum recession is something that I've been dealing with since my early 20s. So I can't barely remember a time in my life where my gums felt this healthy and looked this healthy. And like I said, my black triangles, they basically had disappeared by this point. And that lower front incisor, it was not at the natural gum line, but it had tons of improvement, still nice and tight to the gum, no more inflammation, no more pocket collecting food particles that had to be milked out. And it was continuing to show progress of, trending upward, so that even though it wasn't at the gum line, I was still so completely happy with the progress I had. If I had no expectation of having this much progress. So I was honestly floored. So that brings us to the 9-month progress photos. And these were more like 9.5 months. Um, Life just happened, and I didn't get to take photos at the 9-month anniversary. So these are about at 9.5 months. And I am grouping this. The top photo is one of my original photos from the first month that I was on my oral health care journey. The middle photo is the 6-month photo. And then the bottom photo, we're looking at that 9.5-month photo. And the results from the 6-month photo to the 9-month photo, they're not much. It's very small changes, and that is okay. That is perfectly okay. Because as I said, with those 6-month photos, I had already achieved more progress than I ever imagined I would achieve when I started this process. From my view, because they're my teeth and they're my teeth and gums and I'm looking at them every day, I'm seeing very small incremental progress continuing. I do continue to see more gum fill between my middle lower incisors. That, like I said in the beginning, that area was an area where the gum was completely recessed, completely detached, flapping away. And now I'm continuing to see that gum, that pink healthy gum tissue, move up between there more and more. And I'm seeing a very, very slight filling in on the front surface of that lower incisor. It's not much, but again, it's so much more than I ever thought that I would achieve. So for me, at a minimum, I am maintaining my progress, and that is amazing. What this tells me is that by continuing this pretty simple protocol, that I could maintain this progress that I've been able to make for the long term. That for the long term, instead of worrying about the continuation of my gum recession and worrying about how bad that pocket was getting and how bad it was going to get, and possibly even suffering tooth loss, I don't have to worry about that now because I've made so much progress. My teeth and gums feel and look so much healthier. And because I'm maintaining that progress, I have every confidence that I can go on for the long term with healthier looking and healthier feeling teeth and gums. And that is just such an amazing accomplishment, and I'm very excited. So I will be doing a 12-month progress video. That's the plan. And we'll see how it goes. But as I said, my progress has definitely slowed down, but I've had so much more than I ever anticipated. So I am truly happy. And I'm happy that I've had this opportunity to share with others and to hear from others who are also having great results from using xylitol and incorporating some of these changes into their life, and it's been amazing. So anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like, leave a comment down below, share this video with anybody in your friends or family circle you think could benefit. And as always, if you did enjoy this video and would like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button, becoming a part of the Low Key Life family. And with that, until next time,